Hi there, welcome to the Yarn on Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Rainbow Ange. And welcome to day 11 of my 12 cast-ons of Christmas adventure. Can you believe it? 11. We are almost there. Just today and tomorrow. And then I have to start working on whips and stop casting on all the things. Yeah, let's see if that happens. So if you watched my video from day 10, you'll know that I've started off my day today with a walk down to the beach here in Penarth. I'm still feeling pretty cold and a little bit windswept and dishevelled, but I have some tea and I have my breakfast, and I've got about half an hour before the shop officially opens. So I thought I'd take some time to talk to you about the project that I'll be casting on today. I bought it with me, but I probably won't be working on it in the shop. But I knew that if I wanted to record in daylight, that I'd need to bring it here and talk to you about it here. So today I am going to be casting on from this lovely kit that my friend Gemma bought me when she was on a trip to Latvia this year. She gave me this beautiful kit for a pair of Latvian mittens. I've been meaning to cast these on for quite a while, but I'm feeling quite intimidated by the whole thing. First, because it's a lovely gift and I want to do it justice. Secondly, because the kit comes from Hobby Wool in Riga. She said the lady was trying to dissuade her from purchasing this one because she said this one is pretty complicated. And I think looking at the pattern, there are some rows with 3 or 4 colours in the same row. And while I am fairly confident, if not competent, at 2-colour colour work, I've never wrangled more than a couple of colours in a row before, at least not for stranded colour work. Intarsia and stuff is a little bit different, but that has kind of been in the back of my mind. And then thirdly, when I opened up the kit and looked at the instructions, it's recommending a 1.5mm needle, which is just teeny tiny. So yeah. Anyway, I have decided to risk doing it on a 2mm needle because I've knit on 2mm before and I found those quite tough on my hands, the density of the fabric, so I'm a little bit afraid to go down to the 1.5. So I have snaffled myself a pair of 2mm Symphony DPNs that we have here in the shop because I didn't have any 2mm DPNs in my stash at home. I had a 2mm circular which I used for the project that I was just talking about. However, I find with colour work I find it really difficult to manage the floats at the each end of the sort of separation of the row. When you're magic looping, you're knitting half a row at a time, and I find it really difficult to manage the floats on that sort of transition bit between the front and back needle. Whereas recently I knit a pair of colourwork socks on DPNs and that problem was pretty much eliminated. So although DPNs are not my favourite, I shall be working these on DPNs. So I have this beautiful kit with all of these bright fun rainbow colours. This red here is looking quite pink on my screen, but it's definitely a true sort of bright red colour. So I am going to make a start. Now I probably won't get very far because I'll be working on these this evening, so I'm fairly confident that I'll be able to manage the start of this pattern because the cuff's pretty solid in terms of the colour. So I will be able to avoid the complicated bit for at least a few days. So yeah, keep your fingers crossed and wish me luck. Hi there, I am back to talk to you about the progress I made on the Latvian mitt yesterday. I worked on this for a couple of hours last night, but there's not much progress to show because the bit that I did was fairly slow going. I think I mentioned I'm working this on 2mm needles, and the fabric that obviously you make with those small needles is quite dense, so it's quite hard on my hands, and I found that my shoulders were getting quite achy as well. On top of that, the first little bit of the mitt is a little bit fiddly, so I'm going to show you my progress. I'm going to keep the project in the original box that it came in because everything fits in there nicely. I can just lay my work on top of there and put the lid on and everything stays in there. I'm also using my lovely DPN case with a Dalek print on it to keep this work in, and as you can see, it doesn't even, apart from the ends, protrude. So that kind of gives you an idea of how much work was done. I am happy with the progress that I made, and it's starting to look lovely, but it is a bit of a mess of ends and stuff at the moment. Just trying to untangle it a little bit and tidy it up. So here we go. That's what I managed to get done yesterday. Now, the fiddly bit I found was this little cuff. You had to knit several rows, make an eyelet row, and then knit several more rows, and then join them together by knitting the 2 stitches together. I was doing this probably about 10 o'clock last night, so it was quite dark, so working on this dark green colour was quite difficult, and I didn't do a particularly good job of that. As you can see probably here, there's a bit of a twist in that. I didn't quite pick up exactly the right stitch in the right place. I'm not going to worry about it this time. These gloves are for me. But when I cast on the second glove, I may actually use a provisional cast on just to make it a little bit easier for myself to be able to see what stitch goes where. If I do a provisional cast on, then put the stitches on another needle before I knit them together, it will just be easier to follow the correct sequence. Latvian braid was fun. I've done Latvian braids before, so they're not as complicated as they look, and I've just started obviously on the colour work part of the pattern. I've got about, I think it's 4 more rows to go before the really complicated bit kicks in, i.e. the part where there are 3 or more colours. I think the maximum's 3, having looked up the chart quickly, in each row. So yeah, that's going to be a new adventure. These last few rows flew by after the Latvian braid, flew by really quickly. The Latvian braid, as I said before, is easier than it looks, but it is a little bit time consuming because you're forever wrapping yarns over each other. The pattern is really quite sparse, which is quite fun. When I first wound up the yarns yesterday and looked at the pattern, I was thinking, oh, there's no chart for the palm of the hand. I was a bit confused by that. And then I looked up Latvian knits online, and I actually found an image of these mittens and then knit with the same pattern on the front and the palm. So that solved that query. There are sort of vague guidelines for some bits. It just says the Latvian braid. There's 3 rows blocked out, but only 2 of them have got the sort of actual braid symbol in. So I wasn't quite sure what to do with that. And then on the instructions, there are instructions for 2 types of Latvian braid. In the end, I went for the double Latvian braid because I think that looks really nice. Other instructions for the braid just say pick 2 colours to make your braid, so there's no sort of guidance on what colours to use for your braid. So I picked orange because of course, and black because I thought that would be quite striking. And in the end, because I wasn't sure what to do with that braid part, there seemed to be 1 solid row. So I started off by knitting 1 row of orange, and then I decided to do the double Latvian braid, which takes up 3 rows. So I thought to kind of even out that orange stripe underneath, I then knit another orange stripe on top of the Latvian braid, and then just knit a couple of green before I went into the colour work proper. So yeah, I'm going to have to remember to do that on the next mitt. So yeah, there's not really much else to say about that. I'm really enjoying the project so far. I love these bright, fun colours, and in the box they look quite garish, but actually once you've got them mixed in together, I love them. I think they look very, I don't know if folky is the right sort of word, but it's those bright sort of primary colours that you see often in like canal painting and stuff like that. Of course, this is such hard work on my hands and my shoulders and my neck. I can't see myself like sitting down for another couple of hour session like I did last night and working on these, because I think that's just going to be too much. I'm going to wear out my hands and my shoulders. So I think what I will do is just have this box in my project corner in the living room, and I'm going to try and pick it up and do a couple of rows every day, because that won't take too much time and it will grow without putting too much pressure on my body. So yeah, that is the plan for these mitts. So I am excited to continue working on those, and hopefully if I stick to my 2 or 3 rows every day, I'll have some reasonable progress to keep showing you every week or so. I also spent a little bit of time yesterday looking up the mitts online. On the back of the box there's a few different sort of mitten patterns. This is from collection Kurzeme or Kurzeme. I don't know if my camera will pick that up. No. So it's Kurzeme. And on the bottom of the box it says, every mitten has its own story, every pattern knitted has its own meaning and brings with it its own wish. And then the patterns are numbered. So I went on the Hobby Wall website wondering if there was some sort of explanation as to the meanings of each of these patterns, but there wasn't really. But it did say that everything in the box is handcrafted, including the box. So the yarn is individually skeined up into the kits, and it all comes from local farm sources. So that was interesting to know. It also inspired me to order a copy of, I think it's called Knit Like a Latvian, or Latvian Mitts. I honestly can't remember, but it's a book with lots more Latvian mitt patterns, and I'm hoping a bit more of an explanation behind the tradition of Latvian mitts, and maybe an explanation of some of the symbols used. But that should arrive in maybe a week or so. So when it does come, I shall show that off to you and let you know if there's any more information, particularly about the pattern on this particular mitt that I'm making. That's it for the Latvian mitts cast on video. Only one more to go. That's quite exciting, isn't it? I am looking forward to my final cast on, but I'm also looking forward to getting back to working on some of these lovely projects that I have started. So hopefully you will join me tomorrow for my last cast on video. Until then, take care of yourself and see you soon. Bye.